Backgrounds are important in any form of visual media, whether that's manga, comics, movies, shows. It can set the tone and the vibe of a series. So today I wanted to do a background study of one of my favorite mangas, Chainsaw Man. And this is your host Uegar, and I'll be going over what makes his background so good, the techniques that he uses, and also what I've learned by studying his backgrounds. So let's get right into it. Now, Chainsaw Man is a very dark and gritty story that doesn't pull any punches. Even when it comes to Denji's powers, they are literal chainsaws. That is not a clean cut, it's very rugged and brutal. So to match that very dark aesthetic, Tatsuki Fujimoto has crafted his backgrounds to have this very grungy look to it. Now that leads me to the first technique that he uses, cross-hatching. And he uses that on just about everything, whether that's pipes, wires, any sort of material, the ground, the wall. And what that does is that it gives it this very dirty and very rugged look to everything. It makes everything feel just about abandoned, kind of like the main character Denji. Another technique that he uses is the use of heavy shadows, whether that's on his backgrounds and or characters. By blocking out certain shapes and areas, it really makes you focus on the things that he wants you to look at. He uses it to enhance his positioning and his composition on his manga panels. And also it doubles down as another thing because it also gives that very eerie, dark aesthetic. So this technique actually works for both things, and that's what makes this technique so good. Now this one isn't really a technique, this is more of an observation. But Tatsuki Fujimoto loves, and I mean loves, using pipes, wires, and trash, air conditioning units everywhere. I love this because it makes everything feel so claustrophobic and enclosed, really enhancing the creepy vibe, while also making it feel like this world is lived in, while also feeling abandoned. There's literal trash everywhere, there's graffiti, there's posters hanging up. It's like someone has been here, but where are they at? It gives it this very abandoned feeling to it because at one point it's very lively, but also nobody is here. And that's what makes it feel so creepy. It's like a demon could be hiding around the corner at any moment, ready to ambush. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, is that backgrounds can actually tell a story within itself. I mean, Denji lived a very awful life. He's been very poor. He's lived in literally this abandoned house his whole life because of the things that he went through. And by having these backgrounds be very dirty and very things, it's like we're almost seeing life through Denji's eyes, because Japan is known to be very clean. And so the fact that Denji is living in this world that is opposite of reflecting the actual Japan that is today, it kind of makes you feel like, man, this is the world that he lives in. It's so just awful, it's so dark, and it really brings this story all together. Quick side note, I will say in later Chainsaw Man chapters, the use of details in all of these techniques that I was talking about actually kind of goes away. And I feel like in that sense, to me, that's kind of what makes the style actually not feel as good. And you can tell because he doesn't really use the cross-hatching technique as much. Now he still uses the details and he sometimes uses the heavy shadows in his backgrounds, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to put them side by side and you can tell the difference in what feels more creepy and what feels more eerie. And I think this was a perfect example that I was talking about, that if you take away these things, it can actually de-hance the scene. Now, some people may like it more. Some people may say that this opinion is dumb, but in my personal opinion, the artwork looked a lot better in the beginning chapters versus the later chapters due to this fact, because it doesn't feel as grungy as it used to be. But also with that fact, just to say something else, is that if a series changes its vibe or is going through an arc that needs to be more bubbly, this would be perfect. Switching that background or those things can actually enhance the story if you're turning it into a different direction. So if you go for something grungy and then it turns into something more bubbly, then you could switch it, or vice versa. Let's say something is super bubbly and a character is going through a world of, oh my gosh, sunshine and rainbows, but then something dark happens to him, and then you can switch the vibe in that matter. That can be used as well. So keep that in mind. Now let's get back to the main video. And when you're writing a story and you're about to bring it to life visually, be sure to keep these things in mind. I mean, these things are very important. Backgrounds are important. And I know everybody wants to do character art, and even if they do backgrounds, they don't really think too much of it. Be sure, because backgrounds really do reflect the world that they're in. It's what brings everything together. So be sure to keep that in mind when you're doing these things. So do background studies, do these other things. Now on to my turn. I really wanted to study Chainsaw Man's background specifically because of the series that I'm writing and working on called Psychic Psycho. I have made a one-shot about it, but I want to make it into a series. And one thing that I noticed within my own one shot is that I wanted to have this very grunge feel to it, but the backgrounds that I made were not reflecting that. And so I was like, after reading it, I was like, man, this is the thing that is missing. So now I'm in here studying Chainsaw Man so that I can enhance that story later on when I actually work on it as an official series. Now, quick overview of the techniques that he uses was cross-hatching, heavy shadows, and his background details. Now that I listed that off, I wanted to say, honestly, the hardest part for me was actually the background details, adding in the pipes and the trash and stuff like that. Just having so many objects within a scene is something that I haven't really done before. But everything else kind of came natural to me because I've kind of tried to use this in my backgrounds before. But I've put in trash, broken glass, there was cardboard on the floor, there was pipes, there was wires, and all of that really was the thing that took the most time trying to craft that and trying to really put that and fit that into a scene. Now, the cross-hatching was something that I haven't really done before, but to me it was kind of self-explanatory. Now, this took a long time for me, and I mean a long time. Honestly, I probably could have used a cross-hatching brush to make this easier, but I didn't really realize that until the end, so maybe I'll do that in the future. But honestly, doing that, it kind of felt rewarding to me in a way, because after kind of doing all that detail and that cross-hatching and then stepping back and looking at it, I was like, okay, this is what's really making this put this all together, I feel like. Also, when it comes to the heavy shadows, to me, I tried to block it at the end of the scene, because at first, when you see that in the beginning of the composition, when I was just drawing the sketch of this, I was actually going to have this be in kind of like an alleyway, and another building was going to be in the background. But then I kind of started to think about it. I'm like, man, it would be honestly cooler to kind of set the scene and make it look like a demon was coming out. And so that blocking out of that really kind of made this feel more enclosed and made it feel more creepier. And so that's the technique that I was talking about, and it was honestly a very good use of it, I feel like. Just a quick side note, just to shout out Levin, this was for a Studio Ivory project. So with that being said, this was a background practice for me, but Levin did draw Damien, and then he also drew the demon, just to kind of put that out there. And he also did the graffiti, just real quick. So yeah, so all of that, besides that point, all of that is kind of what I tried to use. I think I did a pretty good job, at least for my first time. Hopefully I will kind of use this in the future. Now, the pipes and stuff up at the top with the air conditioning unit was actually something that I got straight from a Chainsaw Man background, so that I thought that was pretty funny. But since this is not used for anything and it's just an illustration and it was just practice, I felt like I could just honestly copy that because it's not really that big of a deal. So, but in the future, I mean, I would have to obviously come up with my own thing, but I strictly use that just for the sake of practice. Now, other than that, I think I actually did this quite well. Now, you guys in the comments let me know if I did good, and if you guys can even tell that I was trying to use reference from Chainsaw Man. Hopefully you can. Another good series though, if you want to replicate this vibe and have another series to go off of, is Dawn to Dawn. Dawn to Dawn is a very good series when it comes to its art and backgrounds as well. It has the use of heavy shadows and cross-hatching and details like I was talking about. The only reason why I did that is because I'm not really far into Dawn to Dawn, and I've read more Chainsaw Man, so that's why I made this a Chainsaw Man thing. But if you're a fan of Dawn to Dawn, this will work just as good because they use very similar techniques, obviously. But that will be the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you guys want more of this, please let me know, and I'll be sure to do more background studies, or any studies for that matter. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That will be the end. Peace.